Hi all, welcome to the fourth episode of the Viejo Viajero segment of my Hardy Carges YouTube channel, in which we go to some places here in the Philippines. Today we'll go to Angeles City. If Baguio is the city that America once built, then Angeles City is the city that America built twice. Because this city is also known as Clark from the previous Air Force Base, as much as it is Angeles from the previous Spanish. No, this isn't LA, but I have heard it pronounced that way, the Spanish way, that is, Angeles. So the two are something of a twin city, the Clark Freeport Zone and the city proper. And even then, that city proper is a smattering and scattering of a healthy handful of independent towns and even more barangays thinly glued into a single metropolitan area, all independent of Clark. Or are they? Even though Angeles was once the nation's capital in 1899, the first year post-Spanish, I'd assume that was heavily influenced by the nearby military presence. And if you take the bus down from Baguio, you'll get off the bus at the old terminal at Dao, a barangay in Malabagat, which is closer to the famed Fields Avenue than Angeles itself. Famous Fields Avenue, technically part of the Balibago barangay that stands for entertainment here in the Phils in the same way that Las Vegas stands for it in the good old USA. Or should I say lies down for it? Because it's no secret this is ground zero for prostitution here in the same way that Pattaya does the dirty deed for Thailand. Almost everybody is in on the action. Still, that does make for some interesting bedfellows, pun intended. So that means that Korea has carved out a little piece of the pie for itself here. And I suspect Japan the same, even if less obvious. The Chinese are ubiquitous all over Asia, of course, but they deserve their own consideration, given their historical prominence and dominance, not to mention their massive population. That means that their presence in the business community is larger than their actual population numbers would indicate. And that includes the modern-day scam centers, which they specialize in these days, in which they have exported to almost every country in Southeast Asia. They're summarily executed for those activities in the mother country, but only deported here, and Myanmar, and Cambodia, and, you know. But for the average Westerner, Clark Airport is a convenient alternative to Manila, if your final destination is north of the big city, because Manila Airport is shambolic, where Angeles Clark Airport is more like Shangri-La. That means that Manila's airport is spread out over 3 disconnected, smaller airports, while Clark is all to be found in only one. But I know what you're thinking, and the prices are the same. Cebu Pacific flies here for the same prices that they fly to Manila, and that includes international as well as domestic flights, to the best of my knowledge. So if you're coming down from Baguio, you can disembark at the airport and save any further taxi fare, which would be almost the same from any point in Angeles metro area, and only a few hours difference. Most of the worst traffic is in the Manila area, of course, with its 10 million plus population, compared to Angeles' cool half mil. Or you can take the bus all the way to Dao Barangay from Baguio for easier access to the Field Street Entertainment District, now known as Red Street. I wonder why. If it's any consolation, the Field Street District is much calmer than almost any place in Thailand, especially Pattaya or any serious red light district. This ain't Soy Cowboy or Nana either. Maybe more like Chiang Mai, with a mix of food and flesh on offer. But I prefer vegetarian. I prefer education, birth control, and family planning. So I spend more time walking to Koreatown and Clark Air Force Cemetery than lurking around Field Street. They have some good malls too, if that's your thing. Almost as Filipino as jeepneys now. They'll keep you cool. But the real chill deal is to use Clark Airport as a jumping off place for forays into the North Country, Banaue and Sagada. Or even Vigan, where colonial culture is king. It's pretty nice too, I'll have to say. The guidebook disses and dismisses the town of Banaue itself as short on ooh-ah moments, but for my money, I'd probably prefer it over Sagada. For one thing, it's not so bad. For another, Sagada's not so great. The rusty tin roofs that invite such scorn are present in both. Sagada, I guess, is groovier, with its reggae bars and yogurt parlors and such. But that's not why I'm here. Sagada is also a little pricier. Of course, there's no yogurt there in Banaue, and the coffee sucks too, so it's a trade-off. Only the hotels gouge. How do you spell authentic? More importantly, though, the people in Banaue seem friendlier, downright effusive, I'd say, though the people in Sagada are hardly sullen or surly. Sometimes these things are just cultural inheritance. Inglerote versus Ifugao in this case, I believe. The landscape is the big attraction after the caves, and it's really nice. There are karst rock formations in addition to the wet rice paddies. They're surrealistically beautiful, whether terraced or not, especially in sunlight. So the hippies and backpackers once again find a diamond in the rough and then put the word out that there's a cool new place. And next thing you know, the leisure tourists are discovering it after the backpackers have helped hone some of the rough edges and shown the locals what we white folk like. I've seen it over and over again. Quite a bit of the old Spanish architecture is still there in Vigan also, but there's more than that because the old colonial culture is somehow embedded into the collective consciousness. They even have empanadas, albeit something of their own style. Other than that, the cuisine follows themes present elsewhere in the Philippines. Maybe this is where there remains some Spanish speakers left over from the old days, except for the pero, but, that punctuate modern spoken Tagalog. You might not know just how full of Spanish the language actually is, but like mitochondrial DNA, it's there, floating without a nucleus down through history through the female lineage. That's a metaphor. So is Angeles City worth it? If you have time to go to the hills, then it certainly is. Locally, Koreatown isn't much, and Clark is just a dead museum. But the tribal people are always worth checking on. Other than that, it's mostly just an airport with benefits. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week at a different place in the Philippines or somewhere near. Thank you. Bye-bye now.